The world is in a state of chaos. It seems like the current tendency toward individualism and selfishness are the real problem. With the amount of money being printed worldwide to solve our troubles, sovereign currencies are destined to fail us and become worthless. And yes, even the US dollar is doomed. And it should matter to you because everything is connected in the modern financial world. A declining US dollar means instability, chaos, and loss for everyone, everywhere. For the past century, the United States has been engaging in some very risky business, but most particularly in the last few decades. It's been spending far more than it can afford, then borrowing even more money to cover its reckless spending. Then all they can do is raise taxes and increase asset seizures in a failing effort to keep up. And now they are printing more money than ever before to try to pay the overdue bills. And you know they have been lying to the public about all of it. Because of its size and economic position, the American economy controls much of the world's supply and demand, and therefore its employment levels. And by way of both treaty and tradition, most international contracts are agreed to and paid in US dollars. This means that almost everything rides on the success or failure of the mighty dollar, and no one in the modern financial world can completely escape the effects of its mismanagement. It touches everyone. The corruption of the American system causes your money to be worth less and less over time. And yes, even if you're not working directly for or saving US dollars, it doesn't matter where you live. The financial decay has been slow enough in the past that we have always been tempted to just kick the can down the road and let it be another generation's problem. But the entire world is rapidly taking a turn for the worse. Current political winds in the United States promise intense conflict and divide for at least the next decade, with very little likelihood of reining in the financial recklessness. In fact, it's likely to escalate, and some are even talking secession or even war. And so the United States is not likely to remain the stabilizing factor for world finance much longer. Now, this leaves rapacious China and Russia and the fractious European Union as heirs. No thanks. The world needs a better choice, a practical one that can inspire some confidence. We need an entirely new way of doing things. The problem is human tendency. We've tried every arrangement of trust and authority we can think of, but when ambitious people get their hands on money and authority, they abuse it. It's just a matter of time. They just can't resist the temptation to lie, cheat, and steal when the stakes are high. The only rational choice is a system that doesn't require the masses to trust politicians and bureaucrats. After centuries of conflict, we finally have the technology to be able to do just that. That technology is called cryptocurrency. And it is beginning to quietly and cleverly solve so many of the world's financial troubles. Cryptocurrency isn't in any particular country because it's spread out like the internet. It's everywhere, but also nowhere in particular. And no one organization or person controls it. It manages itself because it's self-directing and open source software. It's actually quite miraculous. It's designed to secure assets fairly and mathematically, and that's all it does. It doesn't have personal ambition, it doesn't have feelings, prejudice, or bias of any kind. So it isn't subject to fad politics. It is cryptographically secured by military-grade hash algorithms that cannot be hacked, not even by governments. And no one can change it unless those who use it come to an agreement by a fair consensus. Transactions are almost instant, nearly free to use, it resists manipulation and unjust seizure, and it promotes transparency. It actually fights corruption instead of enabling it. It even promotes free speech. Furthermore, it reaches anywhere the internet goes, so it doesn't exclude anyone based on geographic location, citizenship, or social standing. Bitcoin was the first, and it's here to stay. Other innovative platforms like Ethereum represent a second generation of advancement in cryptographic assets and will likely provide the underlying infrastructure for this new financial order, sort of like digital gold. But the future of money is where cryptocurrency connects with the individual on a personal level. What we lack is a truly global, math-based currency to take the place of the withering United States dollar. But as amazing as the technology is behind currencies like Bitcoin, it is still very difficult for most people to transact with. It has never been very user-friendly. For a cryptocurrency to succeed on a large scale, it's got to achieve deep and widespread participation fast. Only a rapidly growing system can create the sort of bandwagon effect needed to outpace mainstream skepticism and government resistance. It must be adopted and grow as fast as we have seen the great social networks proliferate. Our financial world is on a great precipice, the collapse of the old and the birth of the new. The crypto that can achieve the largest and broadest user base will become the most valuable and the most sought-after currency in the world. All politically controlled sovereign currencies are ultimately going to collapse. All of us are sensing this somehow, whether we realize it or not. Technophiles created the internet, which has dethroned or transformed countless industries in just a couple of decades. This math-based cryptocurrency revolution is fair, decentralized, and technically superior to the corruption-riddled financial institutions of the world. Whether you like it or not, these modern advances are going to throw down the old brick and mortar establishments. And the fall of these great titans is inevitable now. Cryptocurrency is going to be what supplants those less efficient and abusive systems. This is an early warning. You may be hearing it here first. There isn't a lot of time left. The world is changing rapidly, and for some it will be devastating. We must come together and choose a cohesive, cryptographically secured platform with the right technologic DNA to restore stability and transparency to our global financial system. If you haven't already looked into participating in this amazing revolution that is beginning to consume the world, do it now.